Honorable Dr. Khalaf, thank you so much for your interesting presentation today at the Berlin Economic.
The culture and economy in our region first is to teach investors how to deal with stock exchanges, because many of our stock exchanges were created in 2001. Some of them were created long time ago, but the biggest one, which is Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi and Qatar, they were created in 2001. So we need the culture. We need to inform the investor about the Arab investor about stock markets and how to deal with those exchanges. And we have also to show him what are the different tools, what are the different financial instruments to use on those markets. So culture and an economy started by educating the investor in the region, in the Arab region. We are working on it as a federation, but we still have a long way to go with. And economically wise, this culture also should be linked to the international culture, showing to the regional investor what's happening on international level on stock markets, because then he will be aware about all crises, all corrections or risk on the stock exchange. Because if he didn't live, if he didn't see what happened during this 100 year or 150 years of experience on international level, he will not learn in 10 years or in 15 years everything he should learn about.
And do you see any specific cultural aspects of the Arab region that make Arab economies different from other economies of the world?
Yes, because this culture in the Arab region, specifically with the Islamic countries, we have Islamic products, financial products, going along with the religion and the region. And those instruments have certain specificities to present to investors, Islamic investors or non-Islamic investors. This kind of instrument, specific instrument, gives something new that you cannot find elsewhere.
In the West, we sometimes see a bit of a negative sentiment towards Islam due to, well, some terrorist groups. Do you notice this sentiment also in your work? And maybe do you use countries like Turkey or Cyprus as bridges between the Arab region and Europe, for example?
Not really, not really. First, in our region, you know, the terrorism that we are seeing and fanatic movement in the region doesn't represent the Islam. It doesn't reflect the Islam. It's something that was done for political reason, for certain by certain parties, by certain countries outside the region, just for certain purposes. So it's not really related to Islam. And the real Islam people, they don't accept, they disagree with what's happening, as well as Occident are not agreeing with it. So dealing with between Arab countries and Europe and US doesn't have to pass through Turkey or through Cyprus. We have a direct relation with Europe, a direct relation with Far East, as we are oil producer and we are selling the oil to those regions. We have direct relation with the US. So finally, international investor or international big economies are coming to our region for certain purpose, and they are coming directly without any intermediaries.
Well, that's good to hear, at least that the Western investors don't take the negative aspects of the service as a reason not to invest in your region.
You know that investors look for profitability.
Yes.
They don't look for religions, they don't look for other aspects. They know if there any growth in the region, if there are any opportunities to gain money, they will come, whatever is happening.
Good. Do you have any ideas or new initiatives to increase international investments in the Arab region, for instance, US or EU, or do you use any cultural mechanisms to attract new investors from different parts of the world?
Yes, two aspects. First of all is the transparency, increasing the transparency of our listed companies. A lot of work is done actually on this level by the authorities that are changing, reviewing all the laws to stress on this point, disclosure, transparency, corporate governance. This is a certain way. The other way of attracting international investors is being a part of the, or being upgraded to emerging markets. Because when you are upgraded to emerging markets with the MSCI, with the S&P Dow Jones, then you are under the loop, and international companies, international investors, international institutions are more interested to invest in this region. And we should know that if you are a fund, international fund, investing your money through the weights used by MSCI index or by S&P, so you have to invest in certain countries, all countries included in this index. This is why we see an improvement of interest by from international investors in our region, but also we have something to do from our part. First, to be part of or to be upgraded to emerging markets who had to work a lot to improve a lot our laws and all what goes with, but also is to open our markets to international investors, because as a region is we have a good high wealth in the region, so we didn't need a lot of international investment. This is why our market were closed to regional investors. Now, by being a part of the emerging markets, we have to open our markets. The UAE opened their markets, the Qatar are opening their markets, and soon we know that the Saudi Stock Exchange, the Saudi market will be open to foreigners also, which is a big step we consider in the region.
Well, when talking about the future and opening markets in the future, I'd like to touch upon the topic of this year's Berlin Economic Forum, which is about sustainability. Could you, as a final remark, tell me what are the opportunities and challenges for the Arab region with regards to sustainability?
Yeah, sustainability is to diversify our economy in the region, to not be linked to the oil. This is very important, because if we are too much linked to the oil, then every time we have oil is a commodity, which is treated on the market. So every time you have any fluctuation on the oil prices, with the oil prices, shouldn't affect that much our economy. This is why in our region we are working on diversification. How this diversification is done materially. All Arab countries, oil producers, they are having an excess of liquidity, an excess of profits. They are putting this money in sovereign funds. Each country is constituting a sovereign fund, investing this money in international companies, giving them some rewards and some dividend distributions, so revenues, helping them to be protected from fluctuation on with the oil prices. This is concerning the revenues, but also concerning the economy itself. This money also is invested in the countries by themselves to go, for example, to invest in the industry, not petrochemical, with other industries not related to oil, with other services, with other banking services, with other with other agriculture possibilities and companies. This is why we are trying to, and this is how we are diversifying our economy, and this is how we can go more sustainable in our region, and our economy will be more sustainable.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your very interesting comments on this topic. Thank you again for your time for this interview, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and your stay in Berlin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.